Global Access isn't just ports and products. It's about people. Together, we're going to explore how Panama is developing a future-ready bilingual workforce and entrepreneurs that fuel business innovation. Because scaling smart starts with creating a pipeline of smart talent. And the younger, the better. I'm Samí Haiman-Marrero, and welcome to Global Access Panama. Let's go! We all know that in any business ecosystem, it's critical to develop the right talent to be able to sustain growth and to fuel innovation. And I am delighted to have this moment with you, Karin. Karin Sempf, she's the founder and CEO of Innova Nation.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you're doing. You're impacting the local economy and the global economy by investing in youth. And tell me a little bit about Innova Nation and what you're doing.
So Innova Nation is an educational lab based here in Panama. And what we do is accelerate talent and creativity in both children and youth. We start working with them since they're 10. And we help them incubate their own ideas in the intersection of entrepreneurship, STEAM, and sustainability. So it's amazing to see when they create their own projects, what they're actually creating is, are developing their own skills, the skills they need to thrive in this, ever-changing present and of course the future as well.
And the thing is, grabbing them early on is so critical because that way you can identify the best of the best and also provide the necessary resources to support those students that might not have ease of access to opportunity. How let's take it a step back, because I know you're a lawyer, right?
Yes, I am.
Right, by trade. Yes. And so then what makes you say, I'm going to ditch this, right? And focus on youth and create these opportunities.
So that's a story.
I know it is.
I always practiced law as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman. So it was first a lawyer and then an entrepreneur and now educator. And that's how I've been connecting the dots in my life. So from very young, I always loved entrepreneurship, but I didn't know at that point how to impact, the entrepreneurial ecosystem until at some point I formed part of a program that accelerated me as a leader. Yes. And then I discovered many skills that I had. And then what I did was, took those skills and put them in service of my community. I understood at that point that if we wanted to really grow our ecosystem, entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem in Panama, we had to work with the youth. So that's how it all started. And it wasn't easy. Entrepreneurial life is
never easy.
It's never easy. It's one step at a time. And, but when you have that inspiration and you connect it with purpose, you find a way always. So now we have been working with more than 17,000 students in Panama in 450 schools, both public and private. And as you said, it is very important for us to access that talent anywhere, because talent is anywhere, but opportunity is not. So we have that as part of our goals, as part of our purpose, to really look for that talent anywhere in the country, to be able to give, of course, the skills and to train them in the necessary skills they need to thrive.
That's fantastic. And so we've spent a couple of days here. Yeah. We went to Expo Comer. It's amazing. Mind-boggling. I mean, oh my goodness, how the world plugs into Panama is next level. And so it's fantastic that you're committed to really talking about manufacturing and producing, it's not really, it sounds very technical and transactional, but in terms of human capital, that's what your primary focus is. And so tell us a little bit about how it all started, right? Like, what were those initial stages and those initial, this is what we need to focus on some years back? Because Innova Nation has been an official platform, right? Tell us a little bit about that background.
Before Innova Nation was even created, I started giving classes to kids and teenagers about STEAM and about entrepreneurship. But it was at the beginning, it was very difficult to talk to schools or to talk to parents. This was 2017, so a couple of years have passed, no?
Yeah.
It was difficult, and I think we were competing with traditional education and traditional extracurriculars. So it wasn't until a year after, it was in 2018, where the whole model of Innova Nation was created. And we have our verticals, our pillars, where we base our theory of change. First of all is educational programs. Then we have the innovation challenges that stem out of the educational programs, and those are nationwide. Then we have the festivals in the events where everything comes together. We have workshops, conferences, people that come from all over the world. Actually, we invite international speakers as well to talk with our students. And then we have the community, which is amazing to see how our students, they still want to be connected, and they understand that Innova Nation is not just a course. It's just not a class I go to. It's a community. It's a live community where, young innovators are exchanging ideas. They are creating change. They volunteer. They can go into companies and they can be junior mentors to other students as well. So it's a model. It's an ecosystem, and I would say it's the combination of everything that has been such an amazing, I would say, success, and of course has given amazing results as well.
I love how from its inception, it was all about creativity and about critical thinking and design thinking and all of these aspects that are part of the innovation experience, hence Innova Nation. But when and why did you infuse the entire program with that entrepreneurial spin?
From the beginning. I mean, entrepreneurship for me is a spark for everything else. So we are aligned to the the educational framework for 4.0, which is set forth by the World Economic Forum, with whom we have an alliance. And that means that we are training our youth in digital skills, taking them from being passive to active users, interpersonal skills, that means leadership, systemic thinking, global citizenship skills, and last but not least, creativity and innovation. So it all comes together when they form part of the educational programs, and we launch an open call for them to create their own entrepreneurial projects. They become entrepreneurs, they research, they talk to whomever they have to talk to bring their project to reality. And that's where the magic happens, because they're at the center of their educational process. They become connected to their education as well. And along the years, we've seen so many projects that right now are even applicable for a patent or are forming part of international competitions. So it's amazing to see it, before your eyes.
Of course, yes. And I'm glad that you bring that up, because I would love for you to share an anecdote, something that really blew you away, that you're like, oh my goodness, I can't even believe this is happening.
The first team we took to the NASA competition, which is the Conrad Challenge. It's a global competition. We go every year. And the first team is actually not from Panama City. They're from Herrera, which is like 4 hours away from here. So it's countryside.
Right.
So options are even more limited. Okay. I always remember this student. Okay. We did this virtually. This was 2021. So we didn't even meet until the finals.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So, he was there with his camera on and always, participating. And we launched an invitation for them to invite their friends. We said, we have scholarships, but these scholarships are for friends only. So he did. Because we wanted to provide that experience to do this with a friend.
Of course.
And collaborate. To
Yes.
see how So he went on and he invited a friend. Not only was it a success, he said, I remember now, he's a friend, but could be an enemy as well, because they were competing.
Because they competed with exactly.
So they bonded over innovation. They got everything together. They presented an amazing project that's it was a marketplace to connect us consumers to eco-friendly institutions or businesses.
Okay.
So if you want to have a more eco-friendly lifestyle, you can go online and actually, understand where you can go, where you can buy, etc. Like an Amazon, but for
eco-friendly products. Yes.
So they won. They went to NASA.
Wow.
They won 2 recognitions over there. They came back. One of them became a coach for the third team that went, and they're our first team to be incubated by La Ciudad Saber, the city of knowledge.
Wow.
So that is an amazing evolution of what could be, achieved by a program like this.
Totally.
Within a community and, with everything that we bring in.
Yes, it's like the domino effect, right? Yes. And so then you start here and it just grows and grows. And what they receive, they're giving it right back to the community. I think that's just wonderful. And thank you, because it really brings to life the impact. And it's not only for that individual, but it's for an entire community, generational as well. And tell me about how it also exposes students to the bigger world, right?
Sure.
Because, they're here in Panama.
Yes.
Like we know, right? Visiting from the outside and looking in, we know how Panama is an international hub. Like everything is happening here, right? And these students are in the international hub that is Panama. Okay, so we know this. But then when they go outside of the country to participate in these events, tell me a little bit about what this does for them in terms of opening their eyes to this big world and that connectivity, right? Like how they can play a role in the global economy.
Sammy, it's amazing to see what it does for them. First of all, I have to say I am obsessed in making alliances with institutions. It's part of my DNA. I love to collaborate, and I think that every partner brings in something amazing to the program. So what I've done, or what we've done during the years, is look for those opportunities outside of Panama. For instance, we go to Boston or we go to Silicon Valley. We have an alliance with the Peace Boat, which is part of the UN ecosystem. We have an alliance with the World Economic Forum, and all of these opportunities really, what I would say is, it bring a new sense of what world they live in. It's global citizenship in action. It's learning by experience. It's closing gaps. It's bringing them into a new world of STEM careers, many STEM careers that we do not see in Panama. They go and understand a new type of careers in other countries. So that is amazing to see. And also, they understand that being an entrepreneur is about creating a network. So they are part of networks all around the world, even if they are in virtual programs. Because, for instance, we've had a partnership with the Mercedes-Benz Foundation. It's a 3-year fellowship. They roll out their program in Panama through Innova Nation. So we have now students that are applicable, that are applying in that fellowship, that will open a new set of contacts and skills for them. So, and just like that, we have many other partnerships that really enrich their experience.
Yeah, and not only that, I can only imagine that once these foundations come and do that first investment, and then it yields these amazing results, because what these students are developing and creating to solve real world problems is nothing short of spectacular.
Agreed.
I'm sure that then they'll come back and say, oh, wait a second, now we want to do more. We want to impact more lives. And so I know that you do a lot throughout the year. Talk to me, though, about what you're working on for November, Innova Nation Fest.
So the Innova Nation Fest is our biggest event of the year. Actually, this would be the 8th edition. So it's a celebration of STEAM, of innovation, of sustainability, of entrepreneurship. And we connect students from all over Panama to important content, to real life content, to updated content that they need to know. We have every year more than 20 or 25 conferences or workshops as an area, a zone where they have interactive activities from our different partners as well. We have the two pitch competitions that we have every year. One is the Innova Nation Pitch Competition Challenge, which is for the teenagers and the youth, and the other one is for the little ones that are, they're creating amazing projects as well. I say the little ones, but they could compete with
the best of them. Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just a celebration, 2 or 3 days filled with the content that they need to be connected with.
Okay.
So we're excited. Of every year is bigger. Every year is not only bigger, but has more relevant information for them. And we this is where our community really shines, because we have students from public and private system schools. They are working together. They're working together and in many things. And we have schools, we have teachers, we have parents. So it's a very nice event. I love to see it every year. You have to come.
No, I'm definitely gonna be here. I'm all in, head first. Trust you me. And it's wonderful how it's an opportunity to bring in all these key stakeholders that they're basically, all aligned in this quest to pour into the youth, right? And so that's what I'm understanding it is. It sounds wonderful, and I can't wait to experience it. And anything that we can do to support, we're here a tus órdenes siempre, y tú lo sabes, ¿verdad? De corazón. Y entonces, I know that what you're doing is just the tip of the iceberg, and that there's just so much more room for growth. And it's important just to get the word out there that people like you are making this huge difference, and that we're actually making sure that the next generation has all that they need to reach their full potential.
I will always be an ambassador for the youth. They have a very special way, a different perspective to see the challenges we have around us. And once you give them the tools, it's amazing to see what they can come up with.
Yes.
So they know this. They know that Innova Nation is here for them. And I think that that's very empowering. So this whole ecosystem of people like you, of institutions, and all of our stakeholders and partners rooting for them.
Yeah.
It's really empowering. And it's great to see that they always rise up to the occasion.
That's awesome. Well, people, Innova Nation, if you didn't know about them, now you do. And so there's no excuse. We need to make sure that we constantly support the youth and understand how Karin and everyone that's supporting Innova Nation is really super, super committed to making sure that the future workforce, the future business community has the right support and the resources to thrive. And we're here with Rolando Gittens from ITSE. And thank you for taking some time to talk to us.
It's a real pleasure to be here.
Yes, and so tell us a little bit about ITSE.
Well, it's a relatively new academic institution in Panama that is focusing on short cycle higher education. So basically we're the first community college in Panama, but it's interesting because we're trying to take care of this segment of the population that hadn't been taken care of before, right? people that want to have education, 2-3 year programs that can immediately insert them in the job market. And there's huge receptivity by the companies seeing value in what ITSE is bringing to the table.
That's wonderful. And so you're really empowering youth to find different pathways to get to those trade jobs, to those professions that are in high demand, but not necessarily need university or a master's degree, doctorate, those higher education. Tell me, what are those different types of skills that ITSE provides and the different certifications and programs that you offer?
Well, it's interesting that what we've noticed is that companies are basically thirsty to have a relationship with academia. And many of our universities have not found the correct paths to have this conversation with companies. And so ITSE was created by law here in Panama in 2017. And we basically started offering our first programs in 2020, 2021 with the pandemic. But the major difference is that in our governance, instead of being a regular academic governance, actually we have some sort of a board of directors that has participation, 4 members from the government and 4 members from the productive sector, so private companies. And so that ensures that the careers that we're opening, the ones that we're updating, are really targeted towards the necessities and the priorities that the private sector brings to the table. And so that's involving them since the beginning, from the creation of the curricular design to the evaluation of the professors to the evaluation of the actual students. And right after the second or third quadrimester, our students are already starting to do professional practices in the companies. So the companies become the laboratories and the shops. And that's a perfect fit so that when they leave our programs, they basically have 80 to 100% insertion rate from ITSE.
I think that's brilliant. How amazing is that? And so let's say, for example, hypothetically, if there's companies that are interested in coming into Panama. I mean, we know this is an economic hub in the Americas, right? And they want to invest and they want to establish, for example, some manufacturing to then scale globally. You're creating that workforce that's highly skilled and that can be the people that actually make it happen. Talk to me a little bit about this vision.
Well, for Panama, this foreign investment is very important. And we see ourselves as the hub of the Americas and the heart of the world, really. So we're all the time attracting companies from different parts of the world. And one of the issues that always comes up is having access to highly skilled, trained human resource. So ITSE is very focused on that. And it's focused on doing that from the science, the technology, and the innovation, right? So I'm the vice director of research and innovation. And to me, the interesting thing is that this is a very important public investment that Panama is doing in education. And we want to make sure that we take advantage to add beyond the academic. We're including research, scientific research, and also using that same infrastructure and equipment to provide services to these private companies. So in a way, when companies come here, they're going to find the human resource and they're going to find the infrastructure to take their products and their services to the next level.
I love it. And not only that, you know, a lot of countries are experiencing what they call the brain drain, right? That they leave, that their talent just goes to other markets, other countries to then pursue, right, higher pursuits or opportunities. Right. It's amazing what you're doing here, and it's exciting because you're future forward. And it would be interesting to learn a little bit if you have an anecdote of a success story, right, of some of the students that you've already been able to embed into the business ecosystem.
Definitely. Well, we have some interesting cases of students, for example, from our culinary arts program that have been applying to these different contests, international contests. And we have at least 2 or 3 of them that have won in different contests to go train in Michelin star restaurants in France and in other parts of Europe. And then they come back and they're able to share all that knowledge with their students and with their professors. And then clearly that makes them very attractive for restaurants and other food industry companies in the country. We have very interesting case of our professors as well, the importance of having researchers and professors that have experience in industry, so that we can provide information to the government and the private sector on how to improve, for example, the stability of our electrical system. Right now, Panama is projecting itself to bring investments in the semiconductor industry. And so now we're being able to tell them that we have the highly skilled human resource that our industry needs, and also how we have the experts that are building the ecosystem so that they can join and actually be successful.
That's fantastic. I'm so excited to see that you're building, right, the infrastructure to not only support the growth of Panama as the economic hub that it is here in the Americas and worldwide, really, but then also that you're also investing in youth
For sure.
to make sure that they have a stake, right? Not only here, but in the global economy. Talk to me a little bit more about the tech aspect, right? Because I think everyone is struggling with kids, making sure that they're aligned with tech opportunities. And so tell me a little bit about that.
Look, I think that for sure the students are the main driver of everything we do in ITSE. And I think that at the same time, we see how thirsty they are to learn and how one of the things, I mean, clearly we're focused on science, technology, and innovation so that they have the hard skills that they need in the job. But most companies are also talking about how important it is for these students to have leadership, to have, the human and what they call the soft skills. We call them power skills, right? Like all those abilities to really work in teams and connect and think beyond, outside of the box to solve problems. And I think that that's what we're looking for the partners, either companies or startups that are starting to join our initiatives. We have an initiative of an incubator accelerator. We also have an initiative going on with a scientific park. And we're attracting startups that have that mindset, that are ready to be open and bring students in for them to learn. But these companies also learn and take advantage of these students' creativity. I'm very happy to be part of launching one of the first startups that has come up from the scientific ecosystem here in Panama, focused on the production of medical supplies and medical devices. And that has a perfect fit with this new vision of how to involve students in this process to make it come up.
Fantastic. So from your point of view, what are those key verticals that you're focusing on? You mentioned medical and healthcare. You mentioned culinary, right? So that's cultura, okay, because we can't leave the cultura out.
That's right.
Technology with the semiconductors. Anything else?
So we basically have gathered them in 3 pillars. So we have gastronomical innovation as one of our research lines. We also have Industry 4.0 and advanced manufacturing as another one. And then the last one is basically cybersecurity and technological security, because the digital world is needed in every single field, right? So right now, those are the careers that are growing the fastest in ITSE. And it's clearly because these students can apply their knowledge in basically any of the industries that are approaching us to get highly skilled human resources.
That's fantastic. And then what's the feedback from the students? What do they say?
I mean, the students are extremely happy. I'm so surprised because at the same time, ITSE is basically focusing on a very vulnerable community. We're in a part of the Panama City that actually doesn't have that many universities. And so many of them have incredible stories. They already come to ITSE as entrepreneurs, many times to be able to pay their transport or their lunch. And what we're doing is that we're taking them and taking that entrepreneurial spirit and helping them with the tools so that they can push it to the next level and focus on the next idea, that it's an opportunity idea, not necessarily for subsistence. So students are extremely happy, and we're trying to create the spaces, the student clubs and groups for them to be able to interact and get the most out of ITSE.
That's fantastic. And talking about entrepreneurship, I hear a little birdie told me that you're an entrepreneur as well.
That's right.
Tell me about your business.
Well, so before going into ITSE, I worked for over 10 years in a national research laboratory focused on the life sciences. And basically during the pandemic, we had to turn our labs into production facilities of these products that were needed in the clinical laboratories to diagnose the disease and to treat patients like mechanical ventilator.
Wow.
So we've basically created the first startup that has come up from a national research laboratory called Barnett Technologies. And we've been able to use it to create different products that are needed in vitro diagnostics, and also other products that are being used for research with cell culture, stem cells.
Oh, wow.
Different areas that have been expanding in Panama, but that really most of the technology related to health innovation is being imported in the country right now.
Right.
So this is really the first factory of medical supplies and medical devices in the country that is going to supply the region.
And you're el jefe. Este es el jefe. Okay? So
Fist pump to that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rolando. It's just such a joy to talk to you. And so, people, ITSE is here to stay.
We're here with Dr. Jorge Barnett from Georgia Tech, Panama. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Fantastic. What is the role of Georgia Tech, Panama here in this business ecosystem that serves global trade?
Yeah, so Georgia Tech Panama was born as a desire to, let's say, push the local logistics and trade industry to a higher level, be a global player and position Panama as the logistics hub of the Americas. So when the center started 14 years ago, it was driven by trying to gather information, and now it's driven mostly by generating knowledge and generating solutions from this information, from this data we have gathered. So we work a lot with the private sector, but we also collaborate with the government on understanding what are the needs of the industry and what things we can do to make business easier for the companies that want to establish here, but also make it safer, make it more sustainable. It's not only about making things easier, it's about making them better.
Sounds great. And so then what are those industries that are in high demand, or those types of businesses and investments that are being made here locally to really advance the economy?
Yeah, so obviously, like our core expertise in this country, there are some verticals within the country, but the core expertise is in logistics, whether it's value-added logistics or import-export redistribution, but also knowledge industries associated to logistics, whether it's software development, whether it's logistics planning and knowledge-driven solutions. All those things are part of the scope of what Panama offers in terms of the logistics cluster. But at the same time, perhaps the one thing I should relay is this logistics business attends every possible industry that the world can think of. There are some that are obviously more competitive because of the context of the market.
Yeah.
Medical devices and pharmaceuticals are an obvious example. These are high-value goods that require very fast, very efficient, but also incredibly secure logistics solutions with traceability. So these are like key industries where Panama has a strong expertise. Like all the top pharmaceuticals in the world have some kind of presence in Panama or distribute from Panama to the region. So that shows our capability in terms of the pharma sector. We are looking forward to growing in medical devices because it has strong similarities in terms of logistics needs. But we also see things like consumer electronics, semiconductors, and other industries that are of high-value goods. But it doesn't all have to be high-value goods. Like when you think about, let's say, the automotive industry, not all the components are high-value, but they have a high premium on time and delivery and reliability. So those are also key industries that we're looking at that have a strong gain from using Panama as a bridge to connect between producers and consumers.
That's wonderful. And we're here at Expo Comer 2025. There's actually a whole session that's dedicated to innovation and healthcare. Do you have some insights? Like what kind of sneak peek information do you have at hand or on the top of your head, right, that you could share with us regarding this specific topic?
Yeah, so as I said, Panama is a big home for pharmaceutical companies, for companies in the medical space in general. We're also a hub for medical services. We have great hospitals here that cater to the needs of consumers, not only from Panama, but from all around Latin America, from the US, from Europe.
So medical tourism is a big deal here.
Yes. So it's also something that provides a lot of value. And we're not talking about like low-cost medical tourism. We're talking about high-value, high-level of service medical tourism. So this is something that we see these sectors interconnect. We have a growing hub of people working in R&D, especially in terms of like biomedical, but also biotech. But we're also seeing a lot of people working on basic science that can lead to new medicines, new pharmaceuticals. So there are some research centers, but also other private actors in the ecosystem working on this. Obviously, our location in the tropics also makes us very suitable for looking at new vaccines or new formulations that can cater to new needs or maybe things that we haven't even thought about.
Right.
So this is why I think this offers like a great living lab for the new solutions of not only of the 21st century, but 22nd century and all the ones coming after that. We have already been thinking about moving forward.
That's wonderful. And so since its inception, right, how have you seen Georgia Tech Panama transform, right, with this hub, this international hub? What do you feel is like the biggest transformation or the biggest shift that you've had to do?
Well, when we started out, as I said, the center was gathering a lot of information. Information in any sector, sometimes you have to work really hard together.
Yeah.
Right? So trying to understand who are the key actors in the ecosystem, who are the people that generate data, and what can we do with that data to create value. So then our second phase was mostly focused on developing solutions around this data we had gathered. So we create a lot of tools for the public, but we also started creating tools for the government, for private sector needs as well. But now in this new phase, we're kind of finding this middle ground of, okay, we can develop solutions. So that's the development part of R&D, but we also want to put a lot of effort into the research part of R&D. We want to also look at predicting a little bit what are the needs of the future logistics industry and how can Panama position itself in that. So our evolution is going from first understanding what's out there, and now we're trying to look at we're trying to take a look at what's going to be there. We want to look at the next. Because that's going to be what defines the way our country positions itself in the future.
And so it's a very visionary approach, right? Because you're substantiating it with the data that currently exists and then doing that forecasting. And so what is your vision? Because you're in it, right? So then what is your vision for that future? How do you foresee it again, right? Making an impact and transforming the way we do logistics and business here in Panama and serving the entire world.
Yeah, so logistics is about reliability and speed. Obviously, there are many other factors, but reliability and speed are key. And for that, you need to invest in digitalization. And with all the enabling technologies we have now, people talk a lot about AI. So how can we incorporate AI? How can we incorporate data use in general as part of the digital logistics ecosystem, which runs parallel to the physical logistics ecosystem? So it's very important for us to develop an understanding of what are the needs on that side. I think that's like the key. That's where Panama is heading into right now. Like the physical part, we kind of have a lot of it nailed down, or we understand what's missing.
Right.
But on the digital side, the world is changing much faster than on the physical. So we have to adapt to that and understand that logistics is about data as much as it is about cargo. So for us, that's our core focus right now, understanding what are the technical needs, the technological needs, where the industry is heading in terms of compliance requirements, where it's heading in terms of cybersecurity, for example. These are concerns that 20 years ago, people didn't care about cybersecurity as an element of logistics, and now they do care. So we're shifting a little bit our gears into that direction. And what we do see is that Panama's focus in modernizing logistics, the infrastructure, like I said, we have a path of what we need to do. But in terms of technology, that's where we're putting our eyes into, because that requires a lot of investment in education, for example. Because to build infrastructure, you have a sort of a known timeline for things. You build it, and that's it. But for building technology, you need to build expertise, human capabilities.
Exactly.
And that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So that's where we're focusing a lot right now. Whether it's the country headed in terms of inserting itself in high value chains, and what it has to do that in terms of using like new critical technologies,
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's fascinating. I know you're extremely busy. You just came out from giving a presentation, and we're just so happy that you made some time to give us some inside scoop, right, on the inner workings of the research and the development and of this future vision for Panama, and how you're really supporting it. You're creating all that scaffolding, right, to propel it into the future.
Yeah, the way we see it is we want to bring people together. We know we cannot solve the problems ourselves, but it's as much an issue of trying to get the right people together in the same place so that we can solve these problems together. So we see ourselves a little bit as a broker in that sense, like trying to get the right people in the room, whether it's government, whether it's industry, whether it's academia, and try to find solutions to the issues that the country has. And we love the fact that we have this linkage to Georgia Tech, which obviously gives us a lot of strength, a lot of comfort in terms of having access to highly ranked experts who can provide their insights into the issues we have to look at.
Thank you so much for everything you do, and we'd love to have you again.
Sure.
Thank you.
We're showing you what's possible on the global stage, and it doesn't matter what stage your business is in. Whether you're ready to launch, scale, or explore, we're here to guide you through all of it. Reach out, connect, and let's expand globally together.